Hello, I'm the Who Guy and welcome back to a very special video where today we're looking at episode 5 of Doctor Who Season 2, The Story and the Engine. This is going to be my overall review, so we're going to go through the good, the bad, and then my overall opinions on the episode. Make sure you do like this video as well as subscribe down below if you're new, and comment down below anything that you thought about this episode. Let's get straight into the review. Starting off with what I liked about this episode, and before I get into the bad, which I have quite a few gripes about this episode, still did enjoy it. It's an episode of Doctor Who. I usually like Doctor Who, even if it's at its worst, and this episode I still enjoyed it. I did watch this episode twice just because the first time I really struggled to get into it. Second rewatch was so much better. I could understand the story a lot more. So we will go into that in the bad section, but with the good, there are a lot of positives about this episode. Starting off with the set designs of this episode really made you feel like you were in Nigeria, especially the barbershop. I thought that looked fantastic. All the little details in the background. That whole screen with the drawings as they were telling the stories, that was pretty unique. The whole market scene looked wonderful. If you watch Doctor Who Unleashed, that was a set. That is incredible. And the actual story engine itself looked really great. And the CGI for that spider engine thing was incredible. It was really cool. We didn't really see it too much, but when we did, it was really nice to see, and definitely saw the Disney budget with that one.
Thank you.
The whole concept of this episode was a bit confusing, but I did like the links between the Doctor, this being his first incarnation, well, we'll get into that, but in being a black person, and the way they weave that into this story where he feels like he gets judged in certain places of the earth, and Nigeria, Lagos, and in that barbershop specifically, that he felt at home. And of course the Doctor doesn't have a home anymore. Gallifrey's gone again. That was really nice that this is why he gets his haircut here sometimes, and why he visits this certain place. I think that was weaved really well into this episode, to see that the Doctor is still kind of struggling with his mental health in that capacity. So, which is a bit confusing because Ncuti's Doctor is supposed to be this Doctor that has completely reformed. He has gone through therapy. He's already past that. And there are still bits of the Doctor that we do see creeping through, just like this and his family being gone. I think the Doctor did fantastic in this episode, and you could really see that Ncuti was enjoying acting in this episode. I thought Belinda as well in this episode was used pretty well. I think letting the Doctor go off on his own was the right decision at first, but she definitely knew something was off, especially in the TARDIS, so she went and tried to help and save the day. And I did like her inclusion as well, especially that scene in the hospital where you got a bit more backstory to her character, because with Belinda we haven't got actually too much about her yet. So that was nice that we saw that. Unfortunately though, there's not too many episodes left in the season, so it does feel like Belinda, we hardly know her yet. And when she saw the Space Babies baby, I thought was really strange. Well, it looked like the baby from Space Babies. Whether that's right or not, I don't know. It also reminded me of the Timeless Child baby kind of kid that came through that we thought maybe might be the Doctor. But overall, I have no idea what that's going to be on about, but I guess that's going to crop up in the season finale. That's called the Reality War, so we're going to go through some universes or stuff in that one. I thought the extra cast as well was fantastic. The villains were good in this episode, believable as well. On first rewatch, I was just so confused. I didn't really care about the story, but when I rewatched it again and actually understood the story, I thought it worked really well. And of course, getting a character that's already met the Doctor and has this kind of grudge against the Doctor always works well. Of course, we got that scene with the fugitive Doctor, and oh my god, my heartbeat raised. Basically, it's really exciting to see the fugitive Doctor back once again. Yes, Jo Martin playing another incarnation of the Doctor that we're not too sure of quite yet, but it does look like Russell is going to be exploring this. Really excited about. She does literally say in the episode, one day we are going to hear about her story, and I hope it gets resolved, because that's one of my real grudges of Chibnall's era, that he didn't really include the fugitive Doctor, and it looks like Russell might finally do that. Will that be this series? I'm not too sure, but it was great to see Jo Martin back, and I hope she returns in future episodes. And I did like that it made sense as well. It wasn't just a random cameo. It made sense for the story, that the Doctor couldn't really recognise this person, but did recognise the face. Other scenes that I really did enjoy in this episode, especially when the Doctor was getting his hair cut and the woman was actually making it a map on his hair. That was really cool, and the kind of history behind that, I really like that scene, as well as the scene, of course, where we got the doctors on the screen. That was really cool. We got all of the doctors. Jodie Whittaker was there, David Tennant was there, John Perry was there, all of the doctors. That's always great when we see the old faces of Who back in the universe. And I thought the overall ending, again, on rewatch, was fantastic. I thought it definitely ended not too quickly. It had a purpose of overloading the story engine, and just the whole ending of them all going their separate ways back to their families. It was just a nice happy ending, and even for the villain, it was quite a happy ending. He got away with it, basically, and he can restart his life now as a barbershop owner, I guess. But there are a lot of positives of this episode, but they're kind of scattergun, because I had to rewatch this episode twice just to understand it, and that's where the bad comes in. And overall, in this episode, it was just too complicated for my little brain anyway. On that first rewatch, I don't know what it was. It was just too confusing for me. I didn't really understand it. It might have just been my blindness to the culture itself. Obviously, I'm not black, and I'm not Nigerian. Really? I don't come from that culture, but it just seemed to be very confusing. I'm not great at understanding accents either, so on second rewatch I had to have the subtitles on. It didn't work first time out. I didn't really understand the whole story thing. Second rewatch, I put my hand up. It was much, much better. I understood everything, so it might be a me problem. I just thought it was too complicated, this story, and just a lot of the motives didn't make sense. This was one of my least favourite Doctor Who episodes, by the way, ever, when I watched it first. When I rewatched it, though, yeah, it was pretty decent. I don't like it that Mrs. Fudge is just cropping up on every episode just for no reason now. I liked it on the previous episode, Lucky Day, where she actually had a purpose of letting Conrad out. In this episode, yeah, let's just walk past her. Yeah, it's getting a bit boring now, Russell. I did give the set design some props. There was one set design I didn't like, and that was outside the barbershop itself. It just looked like a set. It didn't look believable. It just looked like you plonked something there, and it just didn't give me Nigeria, really. Like, the market did. The barbershop outside and that whole courtyard area really didn't. And just some other nitpicks, the whole gods thing. We've got gods in the Doctor Who universe already, like with the toy maker and all of that lot. But to have other gods introduced that are real or not real, I'm still not too sure what the Doctor Who lore on that is. But it just seems a bit too god heavy this season. Like the gods, the Pantheon, whatever. I do like that storyline. It mixes it all up. We've had gods in this season. We don't need more of that. If he destroyed all gods, would have that destroyed the toy maker and people like that? Or would it just destroy these kind of mythical gods that may or may not be real in the Doctor Who universe? There was just loads of questions. It was just so confusing on that first watch. Again, you guys might be completely against me, and that is totally fine. This could just be a me problem. I just really couldn't get into this episode on that first watch. Overall, I'm going to give this episode a 6 out of 10. It was like a 4, a 3 on that first watch, but on the second watch, I did understand it a bit better. I have to give it a lower rating, though, just because if you are someone that isn't right into this kind of God's law aspect, you're not really going to get into this episode, especially if you are a casual viewer of Doctor Who. This is going to be really confusing for you. Most people don't rewatch episodes of Doctor Who, especially when they come straight out, so I can see why some people might not like this episode. But again, I'm not part of that kind of culture, so I can definitely see people part of that culture loving this episode, and you know what, I'm happy for them. We haven't had an episode like this. It was very unique, and that's what I like about the season. Every episode this season feels like a unique take. And again, we get another unique one now. So comment down below what you thought about this episode. I must say, I did enjoy it on that second rewatch. Make sure to like and subscribe down below. If you had to describe this episode in 3 words, describe them down below. My 3 words for this episode would be culture, confusing, and stories. I've been the Who Guy. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Stories. 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 I made them up.